We know that neurofatigue can happen due to a brain injury, but also as a result of the healing process of that injury. We also know that neurofatigue doesn't get better overnight. So having tools and strategies in your toolbox that can help you better cope with it can be invaluable. So today I want to talk you through the 4 P's of energy conservation to help you better manage your neurofatigue. The first P of energy conservation is positioning. And using different positions can really help you to reduce your fatigue and conserve your energy. Often this comes down to something as simple as sitting versus standing up. Standing takes a lot more energy. If there's something that you are normally used to doing in standing, try sitting to do it. For example, if you're like me and maybe you like to cook, but we know that cooking is a fairly labor-intensive process depending on what you're making. And often we're standing at a kitchen counter to cut up things, to mix things, and that can take a lot of energy. So instead of doing it that way, what if you got all of your ingredients and you sat down at the dining room table or at a kitchen table and you started prepping there? You cut your things up while you're sitting, or you mix everything up. And then that way you can only stand up when you need to go to the oven or the stove. On that note, you can also get a high stool or a high chair if you tend to do a lot of stovetop cooking. That way you can pull that chair up to the stovetop and sit down when you start feeling fatigued or tired. Or in another example, if you tend to fold your laundry standing up, switch that. Sit down on the couch or sit down on your bed and get everything folded there. That way you only have to transport it back to your closet versus having to stand and fold everything and then take it back to the closet. Using smart positioning strategies can really help to reduce your fatigue and conserve your energy. The second P of energy conservation is pace. And pacing the way that you do things can take a little bit of planning, but it can have a really big payoff. This requires you to think through the things that you need to do and want to do, and then find ways to literally pace yourself. Let me expand on this one with an example. So let's go back to laundry and think about all the things that it takes to do a load of laundry and get it back into your closet clean. So first, you have to get all your dirty clothes, and then you have to move those dirty clothes, usually in a laundry basket that's really heavy, and you have to move that from wherever it is to your laundry room. Then you have to load all of the clothes into the washer, put in your detergent, fabric softener if you use it, and then start the load and then wait for it to finish. Once it's done, you have to heave-ho all of those clothes into your dryer, wait for that to finish, and then when it's done, you have to get all of those clean clothes out, probably transport those back in a laundry basket to your closet, your bedroom, wherever you go to fold and hang your clothes, and then you have to do that. You have to fold and hang them. So I'm tired just from going through all of that. But it's important to think about the things that you do day to day like this so that you can break them down and find opportunities for you to put pacing strategies in place. So in this same example, let's carry this through. Places that you might take a break during clothes washing would be maybe after you carry your clothes to the washer, you're already kind of worn out. Well, guess what? You don't have to load it up. Go sit down and take a quick break. Rest for a moment, and then when you feel up to it, go back and put them in the washer. Or maybe you feel up to putting them in the washer. Once that load is done, you do feel up to putting it in the dryer. You don't want them to mildew. But after they're in the dryer, you're worn out. You've already done a lot. Maybe it's already too much. And so from there, why don't you just say, okay, you know what? It's not going to kill anyone that those clothes aren't going to be pulled out of the dryer today. I'm going to wait. And I'll do that tomorrow. The third P of energy conservation is plan. Planning ahead is a great way to help conserve your energy for the things that you need and want to do. So let's say, for example, that you have a doctor's appointment coming up. Well, you also need to go grocery shopping. So instead of doing those 2 things on 2 separate days, plan to do them on the same day. This means that you only have to get ready once. That means that you take a shower, put your makeup on, shave, whatever you need to do. Instead of doing it on 2 separate days, you're only having to do it for that one day. Now you can further break this down and say, okay, well, how can I plan ahead for the doctor's appointment? Well, write down questions that you may have for your doctor. This will help you if, say, you start to get some type of brain fogginess or that neurofatigue really kicks in on you and you're having trouble thinking of questions you need to ask. You won't have to worry about it. You'll have written everything down, so if you do end up forgetting or having that brain fogginess, you can pull your list out. Now, second thing that you can do is for grocery shopping, to plan ahead, you can go ahead and think about what you're going to cook or help brainstorm with someone else if they're doing the cooking for you. And from there, you can write down all of the items that you'll need or ingredients that you might need so that when you get to the store, you're not running around thinking, oh crap, do I have milk and cheese at home? No, you've went ahead and already solved the problem. You've made your list. You've planned ahead. The fourth P of energy conservation is prioritize. And this is where things can get a little bit tricky because we have to prioritize our needs, the things that we need to get done, but we also have to balance that with the things that we want to do or the things that we just enjoy doing. I've heard from so many survivors who have guilt when they do things that they just enjoy doing and want to do if there are needs that also need to get done. So prioritizing is really about focusing on if it's a need versus a want and making sure that there's a balance. So let me give you an example. Let's say that maybe you cooked dinner for yourself and your family, and that took a lot of spoons. And at the end of the day, maybe you only have 1 or 2 spoons left. And if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about spoons for, you can check out my video on neurofatigue and spoon theory. So you only have 1 to 2 spoons left at the end of the night to spend. Well, maybe you don't necessarily want to do the dishes that have piled up in the sink. Maybe you just need to or want to rest and play a video game. Or maybe you want to play a game with your kiddo. Guess what? That's okay. You have permission to just enjoy yourself sometimes or just do things that you want to do. It has to be about finding a balance because guess what? Tomorrow morning, when your battery is recharged, when all of your spoons are back in your hands and in your pocket, you can afford to spend a couple of those in the morning to finish up the dishes. Energy conservation strategies are all about finding a nice balance so that you can reduce your fatigue, conserve your energy so that you have energy left to do the things that you really need and want to do at the end of the day. All right, everyone, that's it for today. Have you ever used energy conservation strategies to help with your neurofatigue? How have they worked for you? Let me know in the comment section below. And remember to subscribe if you'd like to continue getting content like this, and hit the bell for notifications to find out when I post new videos. I'm also leaving a link in the description below to get access to my email list where I send out 3 stroke recovery tips a week, and it'll also get you a copy of my free ebook, The Stroke Recovery Pocket Guide. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.